welcome into Microsoft Copilot for Teams. We have such an amazing agenda for you today. We are talking about one of the hottest topics out there right now, which is AI, right? Artificial intelligence is taking the industry by storm with all different types of new applications and integrations with it. And today we're going to be focusing on Copilot, which is Microsoft's implementation. So, feel free to open up your Teams if you do have Teams and you do have a license for Copilot. Just know you do need a license for it. But if you do have one, you're more than welcome to open it up and follow along as we go. But let's just have some fun. The first thing I want to do real quick is run through exactly what we're going to be going over. So for Microsoft Teams, we will talk about what is Copilot. We will get into Copilot processing, being able to also see the pros and cons of using Copilot, and then, of course, accessing it in 365 in Teams. And what's so great about this is that you actually have two different ones. You have the work Copilot, which can really tie into all of your work related items. You can ask it for action items. What do I have going on this week? And it will go through all of your different emails, your chats and Teams, and then it will return those results. And then you have the web version where you're sort of going out of your environment, but asking questions still. You can ask questions about anything in the web version. If you want to know how to bake a cake, you can ask it. So it's a really amazing tool. I utilize it all the time, especially for work when I have so much going on. I'm like, wait a second, what do I have to do? And then I can just say, hey, what's on my agenda today? And it can pull all of those action items. We will talk about the prompt gallery as well, because if you're thinking, well, how do I prompt this? What sort of prompts are out there? I can't think of any. They have a full gallery for you. We will get into analyzing chats with Copilot. That's another one that I really like. So if you are chatting with just one person, you can go into the chat and say, hey, what were we talking about? Do I have anything I need to do for this person? Did I need to send them an agenda? Do I have to send them a file? And it'll tell you. And then, of course, rewriting and adjusting your messages. This one I use a little too often. That's just because I'm a horrible speller. I'll admit it. Think about all those different things that are out there, auto-correcting. So sometimes I just spell something wrong. I want to be sure that the message looks good and I can adjust the tone of the message and then send it out. All right, so that is going to be it. We will talk a little bit. I'll preview. I know this is mostly focused on Copilot for Teams, but I do want to preview how to create content as well, like getting into Microsoft Word or creating a presentation using Copilot in PowerPoint and then being able to send those off. So that's our agenda for today. Let's have some fun. Now, what is Copilot? Well, Copilot is Microsoft's implementation of artificial intelligence. So if you've ever heard of like ChatGPT, which is a popular one, or Claude AI or Butte AI, this is just Microsoft doing their version of it. And the reason I love this so much is because of the fact that it is Microsoft. Most of my data, most of my, presentations, my files, my chats, my conversations are in Microsoft's environment, which means now I have an integrated tool. It's kind of like if you remember back in the day, Clippy, right? So if you remember the little Clippy icon that was in there with Word, that was like an old-fashioned AI. This is AI to the next level. Now, with Copilot, I want to share the processing with it. So you, of course, prompt it. You enter in a prompt. Hey, can you do something for me? After you enter in that prompt, it then actually goes to what's known as the orchestration layer, where it will take that prompt, sort of dissect it so that the AI model understands what you're asking. So it turns it into like a smart question. Now, after it goes through the orchestration layer, creates a smart question for the AI model, which is usually the Brain GPT-4 or something similar they utilize, it will then produce a human-like response. So it's using natural language, which I think is brilliant. We don't have to know coding to prompt this stuff. We could just speak normally and it will respond as though it is a human response. And of course, we'll then get back that response. We get those results. Now, some of the results will be different upon users, right? So if I enter it, hey, I want you to create a file about Excel, for instance, make a guide for me for Excel. And then I have my buddy Ben who might go in and say, Joe, that's a great question. And he asks the same thing, create an Excel guide for me. We're going to get two different results. The reason being is it uses stochastic processing, which randomizes the outputs. So this is often what people want because, of course, I don't want me and Ben having the same thing that could be a copyright or plagiarism. So most of the time you'll see stochastic processing, unless, of course, it's something to do with data, right? 1 + 1 = 2. You can't change that. So if you're using it to analyze data, you will get the same results across the board because it's data, it's numerical information. Now, with that, now that we know a little bit about the process, I do want to talk about pros and cons. It is a new technology. So we'll start off with the pros. We'll talk about the cons. And with the pros of Copilot, first off, productivity boost. I get so much more done using AI, using Copilot. And the reason why is because it really eliminates those repetitive tasks that I'm constantly doing, like checking my email all the time, right? I am so much more efficient now, so much faster doing it with AI. It can summarize emails for me so I don't have to read a 5-minute, email. It takes me about a minute to read it, which is amazing. Also, once again, it's integrated into Microsoft Suite. I love Microsoft. I've been using it for years. So it feels good that I don't have to go outside of Microsoft to use things like ChatGPT or Claude. I can just utilize it right in my actual product. So whether I'm in Word or Teams or Outlook, it's right there. It's just a button away. Natural language processing, once again, we don't have to know how to code. We could just say, hey, Copilot, check my emails for me. Is there anything that I have to do? And it will do it for us. I don't have to know any Python or any C++, anything like that. And then learning and adoption, adaptation, this is actually really one of the most coolest things, I think, in my opinion, about Copilot. It learns from you. It learns how you speak. It learns what you're thinking, right? So if I'm constantly saying, send an email for me, right? It's learning how I talk. So it doesn't come off as a not genuine email. It comes off, wow, Joe's writing these emails now, and it's starting to sound better because it's starting to learn from what I'm doing, right? And it does that for a lot of the stuff that I do in Copilot. It will create certain data sets for me. So when I'm teaching my Excel classes, it knows now how I want to teach. And in doing so, it can create these data sets for me so much quicker. And what I love most about that is I used to spend so much hours, and I think it ties back to that productivity boost where I'm not spending so much time in prepping those fake examples or saying, hey, create 5 fake names, right? And I'm like, John Doe, Jane Doe. Now it's just coming up with all of this on its own for me. Now, of course, with anything new, Copilot is newer. There are some cons to it, and that's okay. Everything has a pro and a con. And for this one, the first one's potential bias, right? There could be biases within the system from the data that it's pulling from. So we want to be sure that we're always checking. And what I love that Microsoft does the most is security and screening. They're constantly looking through and filtering out to try to not have a potential bias. But of course, in doing that, there could create a potential bias. So we want to be sure that when we're using this, we're constantly double checking, right? I always say AI is not a replacement, it's a tool. So when we're going in and utilizing it, it's kind of setting a foundation for us to build upon. Instead of me just saying, oh, create an email for me and I send it out, and it could have spelling errors, it could have biases in there, right? Ethical concerns, all of that is tied into it where I'm like, okay, let me check it first before I send this out. You don't just want to send it out and rely on AI. It still has to have that human touch, and it still has to have that overview. Always review your work. Now, adoption and learning curve, this is another one that is important, especially for me because I am a trainer. And while I'm training, you have to learn the way to use it. Once again, like that example I just gave, I teach users, hey, you can't just tell it to write an email and send it out. It could be wrong. It couldn't have understood what was the reply, right? It can read through the email, but maybe it missed something. So you always want to learn what certain prompts to use and how to use AI as an extension, not as a replacement for your skills, because we don't want that. And that brings me to ethical concerns. Of course, a lot of companies are really nervous about, is this going to de-skill us? No. I think that if anything, it's actually helping us to come out of our shells a little bit. An example, I actually had a learner not too long ago who was so nervous about pivot tables. Very, very nervous, said, you know what? I don't even think I'll ever learn this. And so when they started using Copilot, Copilot not only gave them the solution and created pivot tables for them, but Copilot explained it. It went through step by step details in a way that this person could understand it. And guess what? Now they don't even use Copilot for pivot tables, they create their own pivot tables. So it's not just a replacement for humans, it is a knowledge base for humans. It's a way to help us to get rid of those boring, repetitive tasks and focus on more impactful tasks throughout our day to day. So that's one of the things I will say most companies are fearful for, but also security. There's a lot of security risk in this that they want to make sure, hey, if it's accessing my data, am I secure? Well, it's Microsoft, right? We trust Microsoft with SharePoint servers or our OneDrives. So yes, it has that same amount of security. So even though that might be a concern that, hey, is it tapping into my confidential data? Just know Microsoft has so many built-in tools where you can toggle things on or off. For example, one company I work with, they toggle off so that it cannot connect outside of their data. That way, when they're using Copilot, it only has their data that they're looking at. It can't go outside into the internet. The internet cannot penetrate back into their environment. So this allows for more security and a better understanding of how to use Copilot in a more confidential environment. But the last one, still important. It is a useful application, right? Huge. Sometimes it doesn't work. Even today, I bet you during this training right now, something's not going to work. It always happens to me. I laugh to myself because I love when you get to see it and you all get a little giggle too. They're like, oh, Joe messed up. No, I'm just kidding. But it's funny because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it gives me the response, sometimes it doesn't give me the response I want. Sometimes I have to prompt it the same thing twice. It'll say you couldn't do it once. I prompt the same exact thing and then it does it because it's useful, it's growing. So those are some of my pros and cons for using Copilot. I always like to, leave on this last quick note right now and just take a moment to just read that, take that in. I'll be quiet here for a moment. All right. So yeah, once again, this is the last quick note. Don't think of it as a replacement, think of it as an extension of yourselves. With that, let's get into the fun of things. Ready? So, first things first, let's get into accessing Copilot. I'm going to just move this one over here and I'm going to open up my Teams. So, right away, when you go into Teams, you may have noticed Teams got a little bit of a new look, a new interface. So, I want to go through that real quick, just because if you haven't seen Teams in a minute, you're probably going to get into Teams and be like, wait a second, where are my Teams? So, one of the things is that Teams has now changed. It's no longer going to be a team section and a chat section. It's actually all combined now. So if you're ever looking for your teams, they're actually in the chat section now, right over here. So inside of this chat section, you'll see all of your one-on-one chats with your teammates, but then you'll see your teams and channels right underneath that you can now access. Another thing you may notice is now there's Copilot, right? Right over here, we see that awesome iconic symbol now that everyone's loving, and that is our Copilot section. This opens up into your Copilot 365, which is now integrated into Teams. And that's where I want to show you the magic. Ready? So we're going to click over to Copilot. And once we get here, you'll see those two sections I was talking about. One will be work, one will be web. And there they are right at the top. Another thing really important, you'll see I am on my work section. That's what it goes to by default. But if you take a look over here, you'll see this little shield. And once again, this is one of those concerns that a lot of people have. Is it secure? It is. So we do have an enterprise data protection plan in place. Your data is safe, which is awesome. And I trust Microsoft because I've been with Microsoft for years. We use their, once again, SharePoint servers, their OneDrives, all of that is safe. And whenever you are in that safe zone, you will see it right here where you'll have the shield with a check mark. If that does not have a check mark, that means it's not turned on and you could be accessing data from outside of the company, and data can be accessing, or Microsoft could be, from inside of your tenant. So just be careful with that. Make sure you always have that little check mark. That's important to me. You'll also notice over here on the right, we do have our main Copilot, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. But they do have other, of course, plugins, right? Known as agents here. You'll see the analyst, research, visual creator if you want to create visuals for your presentations. Miro's another great one. This is for collaboration, communication. They have Mural, Trello, all that fun stuff. If you don't want to see this, if it's kind of in the way, you could just click this little icon here to toggle off the panel there, and it gives you more of a full screen. I actually like doing that just because it just is a broader interface for me. So right away it says, "Hi, Joseph. I can help you recap and prep for meetings." I'm already feeling confident about it. I can go in and I can start prompting, or they'll even give you a couple of prompts down here. Look, analyze the text in the following and make a suggestion. Or, hey, what is my coworker Bindi up to lately? Or list the 5 key points in this exercise file that I just created for Visa. So these are so amazing because they allow for you to see what have you been doing lately. Like for instance, I just did a course, and you'll see here that because I shared it with a group of learners, it's automatically now connected. And it's like, Joe, do you want to see the 5 key points there? Or I can even go to see more and see other things that I can do, like summarize my week in the style of comedy roast. Funny, you know? Would you use it? Who knows? I don't know who would use this, but maybe I might use it just to get a quick laugh for my Monday. Or, when's my next meeting with this certain person? Or are there any global events that could impact our supply chain or operations? It is so amazing to see these predefined prompts. And this is especially great if you're like, well, what do I prompt it? What can it do? You can always look here and it'll give you some of the newest prompts that Microsoft created. But I want to show it to you. I want to see what's going on for my week this week. Let's see. Please tell me. Now, you'll see what I just did there. I did say please. So that when AI does take over, it knows I was nice to it. I'm just kidding. Don't worry. It's not going to take over. But I always do use please. I don't know. It's just a habit now. So please tell me, what is my action items for this week? And I'll send that off. You can either click the little send button here. Kind of looks like a paper plane you're about to throw. Or you can also, if you don't like typing, kind of like me half the time, I don't like typing out. I told you I'm a horrible speller. You can use the microphone and start dictating, right? A nice dictation there. So I'm just going to use this. This looks good. Another thing that I do want to point out, you see you can add content and agents here. So you can attach a file. So if you do have a file and you're like, hey, pull the 5 top key takeaways from this file, it will do so for you. So you can always attach those attachments there. But let's see what it comes up with here. We see it's working. That's a new little working thing. It used to not do that. So you'll constantly see Copilot updating. From week to week, I see changes, and they're only for the better. But look at that. Based on a review of 24 emails it just looked at, 3 chats, right, and 1 meeting scheduled for this week, here are your current action items. So I'm scrolling down and I just did this one today, right? So this is awesome. It says, Joe, you had a visa intern training. Don't forget, you have to add a QR code to your slide. And I'm like, yes, I almost forgot. Now I didn't. I did add that QR code, by the way. So thank you, Copilot. It'll also bring up what I'm doing for tomorrow. You're scheduled to facilitate tomorrow at 1 p.m. or 1 a.m. Right? And don't worry, that's not the actual time I got to get up. And so be ready 30 minutes before. Keep going through. You'll see I can confirm how to demonstrate how to integrate apps into Trello. So this is just really telling me everything for my training sessions and deliverables. Those are things I have to get done. But if I keep scrolling, it then goes into that next section where it's like, well, Joe, here's a little bit of the internal collaboration and feedback. So there's alert at all hands, and it'll go back over to our all hands. I'll just skip through that real quick. Client and team support. I offered to meet. By the way, see, this is why I say take these trainings, because this isn't it. I don't just do a training and say goodbye to all of you. I really care about continuing your learning. So when it says, Joe, you offered to meet with VO this week to assist with Excel formatting issues, that was actually one of my learners in my previous classes. They took an Excel class with me, and then afterwards they were like, can I reach out to you? And I said, of course you can. You can always reach out to me even after a training, right? Because it's important. It's important to continue to learn and be a support for you, which I am. So if you do want to ever reach out to me, feel free. You're more than welcome to. And I can't promise to answer you right away, but I will help. And as you can see here, I'm going to try to meet either tomorrow or Thursday. And then I do have to do an outline clarification here, schedule time to respond to questions about the training outline. So I do have to take a look at that outline and see, if it's right. But as you can see here, that's a lot of information that is all over the place. Whether I'm helping, a learner one-on-one, or I'm drafting an outline for somebody, or I'm looking at something for my all hands meeting, or having a bunch of deliverables, this is putting it in all one space so I can read it and I could get it done, which makes me more efficient. And people are like, Joe, how do you do stuff so quick? And I'm like, well, I'm just that good. No, I tell them I use Copilot. Copilot is, once again, my extension. It's like having a virtual assistant right next to me, keeping me on task. So with that said, that is just one of the really cool things you can do. You can even tailor it to like, do I have anything coming up with certain people in my company? But one of the things I do want to point out here, you might be wondering, well, Joe, where are you getting this information? And next to each one, you might even see the 1, 2, 3, or the 1 or the 4. This is actually referencing where it got the information from. And this is another thing you'll hear me say it a lot throughout this session. I love it. I love it because if I'm like, wait a second, where did this come from? I can quickly take a look, and it came from an Outlook email. Cool. I can go down here. Where did this come from? Okay, this one came from another Outlook email, and it tells me who it came from. I can even summarize the email itself, draft a response to the email, or say what should be on my radar from emails last week. Like, did I miss something? I get hundreds of emails every day. So this just helps keep me focused and on point. And then at the bottom here, that's where they're referencing. So all of the references will then be here where you can click right into it. It'll show you the sources, the citation. So this first email came from Laura to me, and that was upcoming today's session, which I used, once again, Copilot to remind me to put the QR code in there, which I did. So thank you, Copilot. And you can just see as we go through, if it has like a little chat icon, of course, that's coming from a conversation. If it has a little email, of course, that's coming from Outlook. So anytime you see this, it's usually from Teams. Whenever you see this, it's coming from Outlook. As we keep scrolling through, let's see if it pulls anything from a meeting. Oh, there it is. Yeah, perfect. So if you ever see a little calendar icon, that just simply means it's coming from a meeting that you had. So those are the three main icons. Email, right? See the little email? The little chat coming from Teams chats, and then the calendar is coming from a meeting that you were in, and it's pulling the information from there. All right. And then looking at this, I do have this SharePoint course coming up, and it's now giving me another prompt. It's always thinking of ways to help you. So right now it's like, do you want me to help prepare for your, upcoming course? Let's see what it recommends. I'm going to give it a click. See what happens. It starts to generate. Here we go. And okay, here's an example, right? And I'm glad I did this. Sometimes it doesn't work. It says, "Hey, Joe, looks like I wasn't able to find anything. Sorry. To help you prepare more efficiently or effectively, could you confirm any of the following?" And it's asking for more information so it can learn from you and it can get specific information that you're looking for on a day to day basis. So that's awesome. Now, for this one, another thing, whenever it puts a result, you can edit this, you can capture this to save if you want to. So if you're thinking, is this a one and done? Am I ever going to see this again? No, you'll actually see this again. You can even open up your pane and it'll keep all of your chats from today, from previous 30 days ago. So it keeps everything from 2024. So there's no retention for deletion. That's the best part, unless you decide to click the ellipsis and delete it. You can even rename these too by topic or project you're working on. So that's always great. All right. Another thing over here is just copying it. You could just copy the response and put it into like a Word document. You can share the response. So if you're like, wow, this really worked well for me, I can share this with my buddy Ben and say, hey, Ben, try this out on your end. Who knows what's going to happen? Ben has a lot more going on than me. So I can click, send this over and say, try this prompt. And it might even be helpful, right? And then the other two, you do have I like something and I don't like something. I will say for all of you that are getting into Copilot, please use this. This is feeding all of that feedback to Microsoft. And the more they get, the more that they can work on Copilot. And the better it will get for us, right? So always say, I like something, submit it. You can include the screenshot if you want. Make sure if you're doing this, your policies are in check, whatever security, confidential policies. Don't just say, "Hey, Joe told me to include a screenshot," and your company doesn't allow for that. So just always check with your admin team and see what your policies are on Copilot before you do this, right? And then same thing if you don't like something, same thing except submit your feedback what you don't like. And it'll even tell you here, this is a nice one. Do not include any private or sensitive information. So Microsoft themselves are trying to be very secure. Now, with that, they do have an ellipsis here for a couple more options, like schedule this prompt for a certain time. Maybe I have to go run out the door real quick, get some lunch, and then come back in. I can schedule the prompt for later, or I can even just read this out loud, of course, if I do want to just sit there and listen to it, right? Now, before I switch over to the web and show you my favorite, which is how to make a no bake cheesecake, you've probably seen I've done that prompt quite a few times. That's my go-to, right? Cheesecake baking guide. Before I do that, I do want to talk real quick about the prompt gallery. They did change the name of this, I believe. Oh no, they still have it as prompt gallery, but it used to be called Copilot Prompt Lab. So it's the same thing, except now they changed the name to gallery. So you'll see all of Microsoft prompts. You'll see all of your prompts that you like. And when it says your prompts, those are the ones that you flagged, right? So if you go in and you want to save a prompt that you see, if you're like, wait a second, sharpening your writing, actually, this would be really good for me. I can then save the prompt. It'll save it, and now it's part of your prompts, so I can quickly find it. So any of your favorite prompts you could put here. Another thing that's nice about this is that you can filter certain prompts. So maybe I need to catch up on something. Maybe I want to learn something or create something. Maybe I want to prepare for something or ask a question or analyze. Or maybe I need to do some Python coding and I need help with coding. They even have it by job type too, department or industry. They have so many, and they're constantly adding more and more to these. If you do want to see all the prompts, it will bring you to the Copilot Prompt Lab. So if you click on See All Prompts, It'll probably open up into the lab. Let's see if it's gonna, yeah, there we go. And it'll show you everything from every application. So this one's Copilot 365. This is a PowerPoint. They even have the little icons here. This one's Microsoft Word, of course. And you can just see all of them. And you can choose what application you're looking for. So if I'm like, I'm looking specifically for Teams, it'll show me all the Teams prompts. And you can start to learn this way, which I do recommend. And I'll close that one out. Okay, so let's close this out. And now I want to show you how we can prompt the web. All right, so I'm going to go over to web, and it'll say, what can I help you with? Once again, it gives you a couple of prompts at the bottom. Pretty cool. For this one, I'm just going to say, please give me an amazing recipe for no-bake cheesecake. Once again, I'm using that please, all right? And then I send it off. And let's see what happens. So now it's just going through, it's thinking, right? It's doing that whole orchestration level, feeding it to the AI brain, and then sending the results back, and even gives us a little emoji cheesecake. How awesome. So it tells me the ingredients I need, the measurements, everything right here for the filling, and then optional toppings. And then it gives me step-by-step instructions on how to do this. Look at that. And it tells me this cheesecake is light, creamy, and has that perfect tangy sweet balance. Now, once again, we get those reference points, 1, 2, and 3. So it's coming from 3 different things. It's the best no bake from Food Network. It's this Sally's Baking Addiction.com, and then lifeloveandsugar.com. So if I decide, you know what, I really like this, I can then click into it, open it up, and go outside. Now, that's why I say there's a difference between web and work. Work, you're just talking about things in your environment. Web, you can actually search the web and go out there. That's not to say that you can't do that with work, but if you do have the enterprise, right, it's going to make sure it's secure. So, and there we go. I just got that opened up in my other window here. And there's that no bake cheesecake. Looks great. So with that, the next thing I want to talk to you about is being able to really now access your chats, right? We've talked about accessing the entire Teams, but now I want to access your chats. So the first thing I'm going to do is go into my chat section. And then once I'm in my chat section, I might start a chat with somebody, or even looking at this chat between me, Elizabeth, and Nick, I might want to see what's going on. So when I go here, you'll see in the top right-hand corner that iconic little symbol there for Copilot. So in each of our chats, whether it's a one-on-one chat or a group chat, we can quickly click on that, and it's going to open up the pane here. It'll tell you, once again, this is another con of this, that this chat needs more conversation to generate a response. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's not going to work. Now, if I go in, maybe I want to look for a deeper chat. So I'm going to go in and see, probably have a chat with somebody here that's going to be awesome. See if I can find one where there's a lot of content. And I'm thinking maybe with Mary. Me and Mary always have amazing conversations about artificial intelligence. So let's say I want to just, look at all these emails. There's just a lot going back and forth, these chats, right? And I don't want to read through all of them. So I go in and I say opening Copilot. Now you'll see it's a little different from that other group chat where there wasn't enough information for Copilot to work with. Now there is. So I can go in and say, please give me an overview of what me and Mary have been discussing. Or I can say, are there any action items I need to do for Mary? And let's see what it comes up with. And this is going to be very interesting because it's going to go all the way back. As you can see, there are no action items. Now it's doing this because May 7th was the last time that I actually talked to Mary because Mary's out of the office right now. So from December 9th, 2024, all the way through till the last time I talked to Mary, it's searching that chat and it says there's nothing. But you know what? I still want to know, what were me and Mary really talking about? So I'm going to say, please give me a summary of me and Mary's chat. See what we got. So it's giving me a nice little summary between the beginning of this chat all the way through until the last time that we chat. So, like I said, me and Mary talk a ton of stuff about artificial intelligence. Let's take a look. So here's the little summary here. Joe checked in on Mary. Of course I did. Mary was prepping for an artificial intelligence class, and she's always helping me out, and expressed excitement to discuss the feedback. Mary actually then asked for help removing the Pilcrow symbols from her Outlook emails. She was getting a little stuck on something. So, of course, I was going to help out. Then I shared a file with Mary that Mary requested. I complimented Mary for how amazing of a teammate she is, responded positively to the compliment, of course, because I said you are awesome, and she hearted it. And then I expressed appreciation for Mary's efforts, and that's pulling up from this chat right here. So once again, gives me that full more than a year chat all into a small summary, and I can get an idea of what we were talking about, which is awesome. And one of the things I do want you to see, it is AI generated here, right? And if you hover over that, that's a deep message. Let's see if I could get that. Even Microsoft is telling you, hey, AI generated content may be incorrect. It is a useful application. So it doesn't mean it's horrible. It doesn't mean you shouldn't use it, because it does work, but always review your work each time. So it could have got a couple of things wrong here. Another thing that I like is you can copy this, put it somewhere if you need to, or once again, it resources, right? It cites all of the different places. So if I click on 6, it would bring me here, and you'll see it does that little highlight there. Boom, with the little red border. And then if I click over here, goes up, boom. If I click over here, boom. If I click here, boom. See? So pretty cool technology, I will say. With that, one of the next things I do want to showcase is the adjustment. Now, this readjustment, I know that Copilot does have the ability to actually write things for you. For instance, in Outlook, you can say, hey, draft an email for me, and it will. In Teams, it does not have that yet. I do have a feeling it will sooner than later. But for right now, if I did want to say something to Mary, for instance, and I'm like, hey, Mary, by the way, this has nothing to do with Copilot, but I promise you're going to like this keyboard shortcut. Has anyone ever pressed enter by accident because they think it's going to skip down the line? And you're like, hey, Mary, oops, right? It happens to the best of us. Don't worry, you don't have to delete anything. Here's a quick little keyboard shortcut. Just press the up arrow. That's it. It'll actually put it back into editing mode where you can fix it now. And use the shift key plus enter to skip down lines. Don't just press enter. Enter, they think send it. Shift enter will allow you to go down lines like this. See? Now I can have as many lines as I want, right? Just wanted to say thanks again for all you do. When you get back, we need to meet up and talk AI. It is expanding so quickly. Okay. Now I'm looking at this and I'm like, maybe I don't like the way it is, right? So I can go over, and this time Copilot's going to have a little bit of a different icon. I know we've been talking about the, iconic icon here. Kind of looks like that or that. But there is one Copilot that might seem a little hidden. And if you don't know where to look, you might miss it. It's this little pencil icon with these stars or uh, twinkles. I don't know whatever you want to call them, diamonds. But I call them stars. And this is actually Copilot. I know it doesn't. I don't know why they changed the icon, but if you hover over it, it'll even say rewrite with Copilot, and it has Alt plus A if you are into keyboard shortcuts. Now, when I click on that, I can then go in and I see, hey, Mary, thank you again for all you do as it's developing so rapidly. So it changed it a little bit. Once again, be aware of this, right? Double check your work all the time. Sorry, I always have to say it multiple times because I feel bad if somebody goes in and they're like, yeah, it's just do all the work for me. We need to remember that we're important. We need to drive the AI. We're still behind the wheel. Now, once I do this, I can either rewrite it again and replace it here. I can also adjust the tone. I can make it more concise. I can make it longer. I can make it sound casual, professional, confident, enthusiastic. Let's see what it does when I say enthusiastic. Let's try that one. And there we go. So this one says, hey, Mary, thanks so much for everything you do. I'm really looking forward to catching up when you're back. There's so much happening with AI and it's evolving at an incredible pace. Can't wait to chat about all the exciting developments. I actually really like that. But anytime you adjust, let's say I want to make this longer now, it saves all the previous ones. So don't worry. If I say make it longer now you'll see it's a little longer, right? More like a paragraph now. But now you'll see 3 of 3 because those other adjustments I made are still there. So if I change my mind, I'm like, you know what? I don't want it that long. I'll keep it short, concise. I actually like the other prompt I did. You can now go backwards where I said make it sound enthusiastic. And this is the one I actually liked. Or I can go back before that where it's just the original rewrite. Right? So I'm going to choose the second one. I'll click replace. And I think this looks great. Now I can send this off. And there we go. Now, one of the things I will say that I laugh about a lot is I can tell when people use Copilot for the messages for rewriting. And it's okay. I mean, everyone's doing it now. One of the key points here is the little dash. That's a big indicator that AI has done some sort of writing. So if you ever do get that big dash there, just a little tip from me to you, just get that dash out of there, just like that, and now fix it up. So it seems a little more credible for you, right? And there we go. That's it. That is our Copilot in Teams. And like I said, this is really growing. It's constantly becoming so much more. It's learning from us. It really is amazing. The last thing I want to go through before we actually are done, that's it for Teams. I do want to preview real quick how to create content though, because once again, Copilot is in all of our applications for Microsoft, as long as you have a license. That's very important. You have to have a license in order to use these next tools. So let's say that I am working in Joe's dream team. I know, I didn't have a better naming convention. Sorry. I make 1,000 teams a day for training purposes, so I run out of ideas. So I called it Joe's Dream Team, and I'm going to do something for Project Beta. So I'm in Project Beta, and I decide I want to create some policies around Project Beta and safety. All right, because this project could get dangerous. I don't know what it is. We're making it up. But I'm going to go into Files. And once I'm in Files, I'm going to create a new Word document. All right. This is going to be the safety guidelines, we'll call it. So I'm going to go and create a Word document, and it's going to open up Microsoft Word. Hopefully, on this screen, I have my dual monitors. Let me push it over to the screen. And you will see immediately I have access to Copilot. And if you click on this little icon here, you can bring stuff to the top here where it gives you some ideas about what you want to do. Or I can go in and describe what I want to write. And I'm going to say, please create a safety guideline document for project beta. And then I'll give it some more context to what project beta is, right? You want to get more detail into it. Project beta is a new, let's do, I don't know, a new medication for, we'll say, diabetes, all right? Something. We're making it up as we go. I just want to get some content in here. Now I'm going to go in and click my little generate button, and it's now going to generate content for me. How crazy is this? Now, one of the keys, again, is that you want to read through this. I know that it's really awesome technology, but you want to be sure that you listen to what it says right here each time. Now, I can make this longer. We have the same exact types of settings that we did where we were just rewriting that chat, and we were like, hey, do you want to make it longer, make it more concise? You can go down here and you can say, hey, I want to make it more formal, or I want to make it whatever you like. But I think this already did an amazing job. Let's see how many pages we got. We got 3 pages here. We have a conclusion. I'll just read a little bit. I'm not going to read the whole document to all of you. But Project Beta is an innovative medication developed to aid in management of diabetes. Okay. As with any pharmaceutical product, adherence to stringent safety guidelines and essential to. Okay, so now I'm thinking, yeah, this doesn't really sound like me. Right? So I can go in and say, make it more formal. And let's see what it comes up with. I told you I'm a horrible speller. You see how I almost misspelled formal? Let's see. So now it's redefining it. It's now giving my results again. And this time it says, Project Beta represents a groundbreaking pharmaceutical innovation designed to facilitate the management of diabetes. Love it. I think this sounds a lot more like me. Just reading the first part of it looks good. So I will keep it, but always remember, if you like the first one, you can go back. So if I'm like, maybe it is too formal, I can go back to this one. Or like, you know what? No, I do want it to be a little more formal. Boom. And then I can choose keep it. One of my favorite things about this as well is that it has styles. So if you do have like company themes, you can just always change the style up top. You'll see, like, for instance, this one's using the heading 1 style. This one's using the heading 2 style. So all you need to do if you want to change the whole document, this one should be using the title style, is just modify. Choose your formatting. I'm going to choose blue. That's our company theme. And then here, I'll right click, modify. Let's make this light blue, bold, underline. And now the whole document has the blue. And I'm not done yet. Watch this. This one's going to be green. Let's right click, modify to make it green. And there we go. The whole document has now been adjusted to my company's theme, right? So amazing that AI can not only deliver something as amazing as this, but it can also know the styles that they're using. That way you can quickly manipulate the entire document within seconds. The last thing I'll do is just go up to the top here where it says document and just call this project beta safety document. There we go. And now I can close this out. And we just created, it might not be here right now, don't worry, it just says document. We'll just click away, click back in. Sometimes it lags, it takes a moment, and there it is, our project beta safety document. And it saves right there in place. That's why it's important when you're creating content. Don't just open up a Word document from Word. You can actually do it from here, so it saves here. That way you don't have to open up the document, save it somewhere on your desktop, and then move it, unless that's something you want to do. But if you just want to create documents within the channels, do it here. This is great. With that said, everyone, I want to say thank you so much for being here with me for this session. I hope you really enjoyed this. I will open it up for some questions. If anyone does have questions, I'll stay on for a little bit. But if not, I want you all to stay safe, stay healthy as always, and I'll see you for the next one. Thanks, everyone.